Now it gets interesting. Will we or won't we see unemployment benefits extended? Did the Tea Party learn their lesson? Can they make it happen and still be fiscal hawks? Next on Get Right with Lenny McAllister, coming up right
now. Get Right with Lenny McAllister.
Sufferers succotash.
The way we help bring back America and we build the bridges and bring people together is by making sure we hold everybody accountable in a 360 fashion.
So let me close with this. Yes, there is a change that we can believe in, but it will never come from a politician or a government program.
We got to move away from the American Idol soundbite nature of politics and back to the American statesman of humble servant leadership that we used to see in politics.
It is time to reel in government. It is time to roll out the era of the new American citizen.
If we can continue to get some common sense governing from both sides of the aisle, finally get Americans through the recession, not just Wall Street.
We need people that could change the crisis that we're seeing, and that's why, as a proud Republican, I go through the jail ministry. I speak to the kids in the streets, and so I'm never going to lay down being a Republican or being a conservative, just as much as I'll never lay down being a proud African American.
I feel like a black Republican. Money I got coming in. Can't turn my back on the hood. I got love for them.
And like I said, it gets interesting. It gets very, 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 very interesting in one main regard. And we're going to talk about that here on Get Right with Lenny McAllister. You know the drill. Again, Happy New Year to those that did not get a chance to join us yesterday. You know the drill. Same drill as always. Twitter, LennyMcAllister. On Facebook, it's simple. 2 pages, same guy. LennyMcAllister. The Twitter name is first and last name smashed together. On Facebook, 2 pages, same guy. You and me talking, vibing, going back and forth. And again, you know, I had this earlier this year. I don't mind debating anybody. I really don't care having an actual debate, but let's debate facts. Let's not assume that if you're on the left and I'm on the right, or you're white and I'm black and you're rich and I'm poor, that we have to read this script and one of us has to be demonized through the ongoing back and forth. You know, this is what is going to play out on Capitol Hill in 2014 anyway. I'm hoping that it doesn't play out when it comes to the unemployment extension. That's what we're going to talk about today. There's plenty of things to talk about this week. I would like to eventually get into the Marissa Alexander situation, because here we go again. If the state of Florida, and again, agree or disagree with me on Twitter and Facebook, if the state of Florida had the same amount of vigor towards George Zimmerman, they would have saved themselves 2 or 3 other arrests after the Trayvon Martin tragedy. It's plain and simple. That would not have happened. You wouldn't have had the girlfriend incident. You wouldn't have had the ex-wife incident. You wouldn't have had the other things going on. It's like they have something very specific for Marissa Alexander. And for those that wonder why people look at race in America and they get extremely frustrated at the very least, and at the most they get angry, it's cases like this. They're looking to revoke her bond. That's coming up later today, I believe. So we'll talk about that later in the week, because I'm going to be very curious to see how they approach this case. Because to me, and I might as well say it while I have it on my mind, you can sit there and say that she must have violated some condition of the bond set of rules. Therefore, that's the reason why they're going to revoke her bond and send her back to jail. George Zimmerman lied and said he didn't have a certain amount of money he had. He lied. He said, oh, I'm indigent. And, oh, you mean indigent not meaning having $200,000 just lying around. Oh, I thought that meant indigestion. I misunderstood what you were saying. And he was cool. Now, yeah, you can sit there and say they raised the bond on him, this, that, and the other. But the bottom line is they weren't trying to throw him back in jail. That guy had so many daggone accommodations for him. And then you had a whole side of the political aisle calling George Zimmerman a hero. It wasn't just the fact that they said reasonable doubt. People called Trayvon Martin a thug and called George Zimmerman a hero. They ignored George Zimmerman's past and not only took what Trayvon Martin had gone through as a juvenile, but then augmented it with Facebook pictures and made up scenarios to make him a thug. Now you actually have a case where you actually have a thug involved in this ex-husband that beat the hell out of Marissa Alexander, hospitalized her. He's an actual thug, literally telling you, I beat all my babies' mamas. I beat them all except for one. That girl was special. But everybody else I beat. That's just how I do. You know what I'm saying, pimp dog? Literally, this is what this guy, except for the pimp dog part, literally, this is what this guy had said, had been quoted as saying, he goes to court, lies, changes his story, and she's looking at 10 to 20 automatically. People raise a rigmarole, as they should have. I was part of that movement to raise a rigmarole before the Zimmerman verdict. Go look at the record. I started writing about this in early 2012. Said, hey, all you conservatives, if you're staying your ground in Second Amendment and self-preservation and self-defense and all that other jazz, you want to say this for George Zimmerman, a guy that outweighed a skinny teenager by about 80 pounds or more? Here's a woman that got her behind kicked by an ex-husband and was hospitalized, took a gun, and was going to make him back up off one way or another. Jumped to her defense. Didn't happen. Just didn't happen. And again, you want to talk about conservatives, and we'll talk about people on my side of the aisle when it comes to the unemployment extensions of the benefits. We'll talk about that in a second. But I'm telling you, we're going to talk about Marissa Alexander because, again, we conservatives need to be consistent. This is what I had gotten into back and forth on Twitter earlier this year. You know, don't come to me and say I'm not consistent. I will go to conservatives and say you're not consistent on this fact, regardless of what it is. I have no problem giving President Obama credit. I literally was on national television giving President Obama the opportunity to take credit for something when I had no voice, and I was straining to make sure I said it. I can't even pretend to strain now. See what happened? Made me cough. So my point is this. Before I get into what I said at the top of the podcast, which is simply, we'll find out if the Tea Party learned its lesson. And what did I mean by that? What did I mean if the Tea Party learned its lesson? We'll get into that, and again, like I said, we'll talk about Marissa Alexander later. I'll just go ahead and transition now. This does not mean, that the Tea Party must basically agree to spend this money on the extensions. It just doesn't. Okay? Number one, we were talking yesterday, about the number that I had heard floated around was $20 billion. Come to find out that the CBO, that the Congressional Budget Office, which is nonpartisan, said that this number is going to be around $6 to $7 billion for 90 days, for 3 months. In a $980 billion plus budget, to find $6 to $7 billion to extend unemployment in December, it was worth the political battle to do that. To either find the money, find the offsets, create some kind of deal, pay for 2/3 of it, offset it with another $2 billion someplace else, do something. And I made the argument yesterday. The political optics was worth it. The civic leadership aspect of it was worth it. So now you see, and apparently, and it's a very interesting dynamic that you see on Capitol Hill right now. You see that the Senate Republicans understand this. And trust me, folks, this is a dynamic that directly goes back to who is safe in elections, who you actually have to serve. If you have to serve only your primary base, then you can do what you've seen in the House of Representatives. If you are looking to serve a diversity of America, or you have to run statewide elections, you are going to look at some of these issues completely differently. So now you go into the House of Representatives, because the Senate I think it's like a 60 to 37 vote or 61, 37, somewhere around those lines. It's not a 70 to 28 type of vote. But enough obviously got this through, which means that you had some Republican votes going along with this. Now, I say that to say this. As this now goes over to the House of Representatives, you're going to see more hardliners say the stuff that I think is ridiculous. Number one, the longer you're on unemployment, the more people are apathetic towards looking for work. The only people that say this apparently are people that have never been unemployed. You're not going to take a $90,000 a year job, have it for 5, 6, 7 years, and then go max out on unemployment and tell me you're happy. You're just not going to do that. That's not going to happen. You're not going to make, I don't know, $5,000, $6,000 after taxes per month, and then go max out at $500 a week, which puts you at $2,000 a month, and be happy. That's not going to be the case. So one, I really wish conservatives would stop saying that. We are a hard-working people. I said this in December. We are a hard-working people, Americans are. People want to work. And people across the diversity of America want to work. They want to have money. Drug dealers bust their tails in the harsh winter conditions because they want money. They're working. Now, they don't need to be working illegally. I get that. And I would advocate against them working illegally. But it's still work. And it's still trying to accomplish an economic dream. It's still trying to chase prosperity. It still involves sweat equity. Illegal sweat equity, but sweat equity nonetheless. Of course, nowadays it's so cold, nobody's sweating outside. But you get my point. That's number one. Conservatives just need to stop saying it altogether. Number two, when it gets to the House of Representatives, find a way to make this work. Yesterday, I said take 1/3 of what the total cost was going to be, pass it for 30 days, and then have the debate in January. That's what they should have done, or what I would have suggested transpired in December. So that when you leave on holiday recess, people still have their benefits. The Republicans don't look as much behind the 8 ball as Republicans do right now. And people have hope that we can get past this. The economic numbers actually looked pretty good for November as we got those numbers at the beginning of December. Why not try to build off of that momentum? Now, I know people are saying it's a political game back and forth, but at some point in time, this has to be about serving people once again in government. This has to be about the American people on Capitol Hill, and it has to be about individuals that are struggling, not just the people that you see every even number year in the springtime, because that's what it boils down to. It boils down to primaries, even number years for congressional races. That's where a vast majority of the congressmen are with their mindsets. And if you say that they're not, simply not true. That's number one. We got to get away from that. And, we could talk about, redistricting. We could talk about nonpartisan districting plans and everything else. I'm not going there because I want to deal with the immediate issue of the unemployment benefits being extended. And they need to be extended. We will see if the Tea Party element has learned their lessons. I'm not saying capitulate and just do whatever everybody else says. There's a way for the Tea Party to win. Find the way to broker this. And I'm speaking to my Tea Party brethren with this. It sounds great if you're hard line. It sounds wonderful when you're beating the desk and you're not going to take it anymore. All that stuff sounds wonderful in sound bites. It sounds wonderful as you're asking people to donate to your campaign. It sounds wonderful if you're trying to gin up your base to win a primary in order to stay in your seat or knock off an incumbent in a primary race. All that stuff sounds great. We're not talking about campaigning. We're talking about leadership right now. So those that are in Congress that are Tea Party or hard right-wing conservatives, figure out a way to make this happen. And I'm going to give you some advice. Don't take it from food stamps. Don't take it from Head Start. Don't give to the poor by taking something else from the poor. And I know you might sit there and say, we don't have this money to spend. Well, we're spending it on other things. Take it from farm subsidies. Get corporate farmers mad at you, not poor people in urban America. Because the truth of the matter is, you're going to have, and agree or disagree with me, you know where to find me on Twitter or on Facebook, at some point in time, you'll have an opportunity to re-engage corporate farmers, small business owners that are politically savvy. You'll be able to get them back on track. If the economy turns around, if trade turns around, they're saying that right now that exports are going up here in the United States. If we can continue that trend and exports when it comes to agriculture, if that goes up and other types of exports go up, we can still make it up to the small business farmer. People that have had chronic unemployment in their families for years. You're not going to have the same opportunity to make it up to them. And you're not turning America around. You're not turning America around until the struggling in urban America turn around. I don't care what's going on, because you now have created such a schism in America where you have two completely different Americas at such an exorbitant rate in many, many ways. And for those that say I'm exaggerating this, go look at the average value of a single black woman. They did this study in Pittsburgh, at the University of Pittsburgh a couple years ago. Look at the average value from an economic standpoint of a single black woman versus a single white woman. It's like $5 to $90,000. It's something ridiculous. And it's that wide. And it's not just single black women. It is, you look at urban America, you look at young urban minority America, where the numbers are growing, and you compare it to other aspects of America. That has to be bridged. Now, I'm not saying redistribute the wealth. What I'm saying is, when it comes to the unemployment benefit extensions, hard right-wing conservatives, be savvy politicians. Find a way to make this work. If nothing else has transpired over the last couple of years, Democrats have shown the willingness to compromise. You can get them over a barrel. They have been willing to make deals where the Tea Party can come out and claim victory multiple times. The Tea Party, we as fiscal conservatives have gone too far in some of these negotiations. In 2011, in 2012, in 2013. In 2014, in the very first week that Congress is back in session, we get to see, once again, if we have collectively learned the lesson. How do you legislate as savvy politicians that can keep your principles and serve the American people, including Americans that would never vote for us? Because the truth of the matter is, if they're not dissatisfied and they wouldn't vote for us anyway, they may not go and vote against our opponents. If you want to take this in a political standpoint exclusively, or take it from that standpoint exclusively, go there. If they're not pissed off, they may still not vote for you. But if you're not all that bad, they may not come out and vote against you. They may not, I don't know, rally 5 other people to vote against you. They may not, I don't know, take a yard sign and put it out in their front yard. They may not, I don't know, call 25 undecided voters. That's how elections are won. That's how President Obama won the Iowa primary, or the caucuses, in 2008. That's how he won these marginal areas in 2008. That's what he was able to build upon in 2012. That's how the Democrats turned things around in 2006, 2008, and 2012. That's how Republicans won in 2010. That's how you win. And you win or lose with moments such as this. The optics look bad for Republicans. They look bad for the Republicans in the House of Representatives. But there is a way right now. And probably, I won't even say a way. I'll say there's a solution. The solution is find a way to get a bill done that extends these benefits. But there are multiple ways to pay for it, offset costs one way or another. even odd trade, put some type of job training into play where maybe tax cuts pay for this, or maybe employers pay for this by bringing in labor that's in some type of apprenticeship program. Something. Figure it out. I mean, there are plans out there. There are ideas out there. I've just threw out a couple. I could throw out others. We'd be here for a while, but we're running out of time. But this is what we're going to find out about the hardcore right in the House of Representatives. You're gerrymandered. You're probably safe. I mean, heck, anytime you can have an approval rating of 9% and 90% of incumbents can go back, everybody's safe. Doesn't matter what you do. Don't be caught with, circus carnies. As long as you don't do that, you're going to get reelected because you have a war chest, you have incumbency, and people just kind of, get you in, and that's that. So my point is, you're safe, but you still have an obligation to lead. You're smart, I think. You could still be savvy enough to stay true to your principles and get this done. You can get around the Democrats trying to demagogue Republicans as being evil and only for the 1%. And more so, not only can you do it, you have to do it. You're not going to win the 2014 elections if you don't. You're not going to win the 2016 elections if you don't. This is a test of the emergency Republicans want to win something in 2014 system. This is not only a test, but it's an extremely important test. Let's see if my party can get it done. I believe they can. We see very shortly if they will. What's your take on this? You know where to find me on Twitter, LennyMcAllister. On Facebook, you know where to find me. In the meanwhile, we'll talk Marissa Alexander. We'll talk about unemployment. We'll talk about a little bit of this and that throughout the rest of the week. In the meanwhile, I love you. I appreciate you joining me once again. Appreciate your feedback on Twitter. Appreciate you supporting me, following me. Let's do this together in 2014 as one big team. In the meanwhile, you have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. I'll talk to you soon. TCNGB, take care and God bless. Peace.